What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, The Natural Mama Method. Before I ever had a child, I would see the little WIC stickers at the grocery store, and I just thought it had something to do with like food assistance program. And of course, as always, no shade if you use food stamps. I'm not mad at it, 100%. If I needed it, I would have it. But from a WIC standpoint, I just didn't know what it was. And I thought it had something to do with food stamps. Correction, it does not have anything to do with food stamps. It's actually a nutritional program that is funded by the US government. In this video, what you can expect is that I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what WIC actually is and what it's not. And I'm also going to show you all the products that you get with your WIC checks. And then stay tuned for the very end where I actually give you some bomb-ass tips on how to actually make your WIC checks go further. So before we get started, I want you guys to take advantage of something that's going to be life-changing for you. Check out right below this video a little red button that says subscribe. So before we get started, make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. If it offers any value for your life, then subscribe to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up if it adds value to your life in any way. Let's get started. If you are already familiar with WIC, you're already on WIC, or you know about WIC, then definitely go ahead and feel free to skip this part of the video, and I will list a timer at the very bottom letting you know exactly where the good stuff starts. However, if you don't know about WIC, or you think you know about WIC, but you're really not sure, definitely stay tuned for this part of the video so that you can actually learn more about what the program has to offer. Disclosure, I am not a WIC representative. I don't work for WIC. I am just a mom out here trying to help y'all with information. If you find that any of the information that I'm giving you is wrong, please let me know in the comments, and I will be more than glad to make any corrections that need to be made. But keep in mind that a lot of things about WIC is specific to your state. The first thing that you need to know about WIC is that it is based on your income. So if you guys know anything about me and my family, you know that my husband is physically disabled. He has multiple sclerosis, and he is permanently disabled and is unable to work. So therefore, we are a one-income household. Just another reason why you should subscribe. The WIC program is designed to be a food and nutrition program that is going to be extremely helpful if you cannot nurse your baby. And even if you can nurse your baby, you may find that your plan does not exactly correlate with what your breasts want to do, because I have had no problems being able to nurse my son and breastfeed and pump. However, I have had to give him formula to offset any shortages, or if we have to leave him with family for an afternoon. Keep in mind that it's based on eligibility. You can find out if you're eligible by visiting a local WIC office. You need to call, make an appointment. The people are generally very nice. It's not like going to the DMV. Keep in mind, if you're actually breastfeeding, nursing, or pumping, basically giving your baby the milk that comes from your body, you will be eligible for the food portion of WIC program for much longer than if you actually only are giving your baby formula. If you are strictly giving your baby formula, you'll only be eligible for the additional food stipend checks for up to 6 months. And that is how they do it in Pennsylvania. I don't know where they do it other places, but as a community of moms trying to help moms, let me know in the comment section if you're using WIC. What are the rules in your city or in your state as far as actually receiving the food stipend checks past 6 months if your baby is just receiving formula? You go to the WIC office for the first time, they're going to want to weigh your baby, check the head circumference and your baby's height. They're also going to want to check your weight. What I have found that's really valuable is you actually have a breastfeeding coach or a mentor. And I actually received a text from her yesterday. She texted me and was like, hey, how's the breastfeeding going? And I told her how it was going. And I won't get into that here because it's not what that's about. But it's nice to have somebody that you can text or call literally any day of the week, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and ask for help with breastfeeding. If you see that your supply is getting low, whatever the case may be, you have a lactation consultant that you can get help from anytime that you need it. You will actually get multiple checks whenever you go to your WIC appointment. And you only have to go every once in a while unless there's a specific reason why they need you to keep coming back for additional appointments. But typically what happens is that we'll go once every 3 or 4 months. And when we leave, they would just give us the checks for additional months down the road. So we recently went, I want to say in January, and they gave us checks from January all the way through, I think, like May or something. So that is what the WIC checks actually look like. So now that you have an idea of what the WIC checks actually look like and what WIC is for, I'm going to tell you how to actually use the checks. So again, I will list some very helpful tips at the end of the video, but right now I'm just going to tell you how to actually use the check. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a WIC pro tip. When I go to the checkout, I'm going to put all of my items for this one check onto the conveyor belt, and then I'm going to separate them with the little stuff separators that everybody puts on there when they don't want somebody else's stuff to get rang up on their stuff. And you go to check out, and you've got all the right items on the conveyor belt. Take your WIC check and set it right where the cashier can see it in front of all of your items, because I almost guarantee you 90% of the time, if the grocery store does not take the WIC check first and they ring up all your items and then you give them the check after they're like, that's going to be $23.23, you're going to be like, I've got my WIC check. The cashier's going to look at you like, you know you're supposed to give me that WIC check first. So now the cashier has bagged all of your items, and they have to actually go out and unbag every single item, void the entire transaction, take the WIC check first, because there is always going to be a separate ring up process for a WIC check. So save yourself some time, especially if you got your kids in the buggy and they're going to be screaming. Save the cashier some time. They don't get paid enough to deal with your shit, Melinda. Give them the WIC check first. Okay? If you have not subscribed yet, you can see that this information is pretty helpful, and I'm a pretty helpful girl. So make sure you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it thus far, and I would greatly appreciate that. All right, now down to the meat and potatoes. I'm going to spread all of my items out for you to see exactly what vegans get with their WIC checks. The first thing is going to be these whole wheat fajita style tortillas. That's going to fall underneath the 16 ounces of WIC allowable whole grain. So just keep in mind that any sort of bread or anything like that you're going to get with this program is going to be whole wheat, because it is considered to be healthier than white bread. The next option is going to be something considerably similar to Juicy Juice. You can get a variety of different flavors, and that's going to be underneath the 5 to 12 ounces containers of concentrated juice, or 148 ounce containers of juice. I personally don't really think that Juicy Juice is that healthy. 28 grams of sugar for 8 fluid ounces of juice. That's kind of a lot, but it is 100% juice and no sugar added. So it's considered to be a healthy alternative to give to your children, as opposed to like Kool-Aid or, you know, something like that that is not healthy for them whatsoever. So just keep in mind that there are different brands, there are different flavors, and there's a huge variety of options, and how much you get actually depends on how many children you have, not your income. The only option that they have for non-dairy, you cannot get almond milk, you cannot get cashew milk or pea protein, you can't get any of the chocolate flavors or anything like that. You can only get the original red carton 8 grams of protein per serving Silk brand soy milk. That's all. This is the only option. The next thing that you're going to get is going to be beans. Beans good for your heart the more you eat. You know how it goes. So on my WIC checks, I do have an option to get 4 cans of beans per month. And that is going to be an alternative protein source as opposed to getting a meat option. Of course, with garbanzo beans, you can make hummus, you can make chickpea curry, you can get any kind of beans that you want, red beans for chili, pinto beans, whatever, all kinds of beans there are out there at the grocery store, you can get them. And it's going to be 4 regular size cans of beans if you only have one child. protein source. The tofu that they use is only one brand, which is House Foods. It has to be the extra firm, and it has to be this specific 16 ounces or 1 pound of tofu. It is non-GMO. And it is made in the US. Tofu, you can literally make an endless amount of things. You can make barbecue tofu, you can make tofu scramble, which is similar to eggs, you can make stir fry, you can make so many things. I can't even tell you. I will list a picture of my favorite tofu recipe and list that in the description box. It is the almond crusted lemon tofu. I don't even know. It's a combination of things. It tastes like chicken, and it's really damn good. So the next thing is going to be peanut butter. Of course, this is also another source alternative to meat. The options that they have, this is really what I found to be the healthiest because it literally is 100% peanuts. There's no palm oil, which obviously contributes to deforestation in the Amazon and other rainforests. It's just peanuts. So there are a lot of options. But this is definitely the healthiest, and they have crunchy, creamy, whatever your nut preference is, whatever your peanut butter preference is, they have options. If you are still breastfeeding your baby, there is a limit to how many that you can get. I think it's about 4 per month, which for us has been plenty. We actually have a whole stash of them because we're not really giving him a lot of formula, and now he's eating food, so there's really not a lot of reason for him to consume this product, but it is nice to have around. And if you know somebody, obviously you can give it away. You can, if you're not going to use it, just give it to a friend or give it to somebody in need. If you're not going to use it for yourself, don't let it go to waste. Those are good tax dollars. There's a couple other things that I know are missing because I just don't have them in the house right now, and that's going to be the cereal. The cereal options that you have, I have posted pictures of here. It's going to be 36 ounces or less WIC approved cereal, and there's a variety of different options to choose from. This is what the check will look like if you are getting a allowance for vegetables and fruit, and it will be a certain dollar amount, and if you go over that amount, then you will just pay the difference. How about I had my shirt on backwards the whole time? That's motherhood. Now that you have an idea of what WIC is, what sort of products you can get, the last thing I'm going to do is give you some tips that I wish I had known before the first time I ever even stepped foot into the grocery store. This is going to really improve the quality of your life and save you time. So here are my WIC Pro tips. WIC Pro tip number 2. No self-checkout. Don't play yourself. If you are going to use your WIC checks, you have to go through the regular line like regular people. Do not get crazy thinking, I'm just going to go self-checkout and then hand them my WIC check because they're going to be like, Start! No, bitch, you got to go get in line. And then you have to unbag all of your items, put them back in your cart, and then go find someone that can help you. WIC Pro tip number 3. Oh God, I think I just smudged my nail polish. Have your ID card ready. When you get your WIC checks, they will give you 2 or 3 little cards. I'll show you what they look like at the top of the screen somewhere here. Have it ready. Make sure you have it before you leave the house, before you go into the grocery store, because you will go through the process of going all through the store, getting all these very specific items, going into the right lane, following all my tips, and then you will end up not having your card. And if you don't have your ID card with the ID number that matches your checks because they're specific to you, you're not going to be buying anything. You're not going to be getting any free formula. You're going to be going back home mad with road rage to go get your ID and come back to the store. So have your ID ready. Have it ready, okay? WIC Pro tip number 4, bring your booklet. The first or second or third or however many times it takes you, you're not going to know exactly what products are going to be eligible for WIC. So bring your booklet. Every single WIC office will give you a little booklet about this big, and it has all the products in it that you can actually use on WIC. And when you go to the grocery store, have your checks handy, have your booklet ready, and then make sure you're getting the right products, all the way down to the ounces. If it says 48 ounces of juice, don't get slick and try to get 64 ounces, because you're going to get to the checkout line and they're going to be like, no, girl, you got to get 48. And then you're going to be holding up the line and people are going to be scoffing at you. So have your booklet ready. Grab the right items the first time. Now, this one is a major pro tip. WIC pro tip number 5. Get it all in one place. Now, here in town, the grocery store that we prefer to go to, we cannot get it all in one place. We cannot get our formula and all of our food staples at the same place. So we have 2 different places that we know we like to go to. If you have a preferred store that you know you like to go to, make sure that you can get all the items on that list. Because if you get your tofu, your milk, your beans, but then you realize that they don't have the cereal or the whole wheat wraps or the whole wheat bread, guess what? You're going to lose those items on your WIC check. So in order to maximize how much you get out of your checks, make sure you're going to a place where you can actually get it all in one place. They're not going to just mark out what items you got and then give the check back to you. Thank you very much. No, they're going to tell you, sorry, not sorry. Major pro tip number 6. Make sure you don't lose your checks. You cannot replace them. You cannot replace them. Once you lose your WIC checks, that's it. You cannot replace that check. So make sure that you have your WIC checks set aside in a special place where your kids aren't going to go grabbing them, ripping them up, coloring on them, or anything of the sort. Have your WIC checks in a certain place with your ID so that every time you know you're going to the grocery store, you grab what you need and everything's good to go. And of course, last but not least, major pro tip number 7. Make sure that your checks are correct before you leave the office. Make sure your checks are accurate and have all the items that your checks have to have on them before you leave the office. I've had this happen to me because we got to the grocery store, looked at the check, and it said regular milk dairy-based formula. And we're like, oh, it'll be okay. They'll just let us switch it out for the thing that we actually need. As long as it's still formula, it shouldn't matter. Guess what? It mattered. And we were not able to get our formula that month. We called the WIC office, let them know what happened. They apologized for the error, and they told us, bring your checks in and we'll exchange it for you. No big deal, but we just couldn't find the time to get to the office. So make sure that your checks are right before you leave the office. If for some reason you overlook something and you see this check's got dairy on it, this check's got meat on it, I'm not going to eat meat and dairy. Make sure that you actually save the checks in a place that you will remember, return it, and get what you need. That wraps up this video on what you can use your WIC checks for if you were eating a vegan and plant-based diet. I hope that you found this helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and please make sure that you subscribe. Let me know in the comments section what kind of videos you guys want to see, and I will gladly oblige. Until next time, thank you for watching the Natural Mama Method. Thank you for coming through. See you next time.